Hello, my witches and warlocks, sick and tired here. And you may have noticed somebody in our frame there. Yeah, I've been trying to get him out, but it's not working. This is what we got. So you can see it a little bit here. Maybe I can try to cut it out of frame. Oh, maybe I could scoot over like this and cut it out of frame. So I hope that the audio is a lot better. And look, now I'm hands-free, which is pretty cool. So I don't know. We'll see if it works. I don't have bad luck with mics. Wait a minute, you guys couldn't see the Santa. You have to see Santa. It was either 42 or 46, so I picked 42. So I am really excited about today's video because it is the first time that we will have a whole video dedicated to viewer submissions. Thank you guys so much for sending in your stories. I am really touched at how much you guys trust me with these things that are so, sensitive, that are such sensitive issues. So that is a big deal to me. It makes me really happy. I do have a couple things that I just want to let you know when you're submitting stories. If you would like to have me just email you back, you don't want your story shared, you want to keep it all completely anonymous, it's just between you and me, just let me know in the very beginning when you send your email. So the very first thing you say before anything else, just say, hey, this is what happened to me. If you wouldn't mind just not sharing it on your channel, just reading it, let me know. If you want your story featured here on the channel, but you want to remain anonymous, let me know that too, okay? I will not include your name or anybody else's names. And 3, if you don't care, then say that too. Just say, hey, here's my story. Don't care, share it all. I'm not worried about it. However you want it to go, whatever makes you most comfortable, please just let me know and I will do that. I actually had somebody that submitted me something yesterday and I had it here ready to record, and then she just emailed me and was like, well, I don't know if I'm comfortable. So I was like, okay, I'll just message her back and say, hey, let me know what you want. It's all whatever you want. It's not what I want. Those are the only things that I ask, is just make it really clear what you want before you get into, letting me know your experience. Also, one more thing. I just wanted to let you guys know that we will only have 2 ads on these videos. We will have one in the beginning after I'm finished with my intro, and the second one at the end when we are finished with our last story. I just don't think it's very appropriate to be having ads throughout while these people are sharing these really tender parts of their lives. I just think that that's kind of crass and inappropriate. And if you would like to submit your story and your experience with your bad parents, your crazy parents, your childhood trauma, anything you'd like to get off your chest, you can email me at samanthafisher1984@gmail.com. All right, well, without further ado, let's jump into these viewer submissions. And I know that there was a trigger warning in the beginning, but I'm also just letting you know we will be discussing some very serious topics. We will be talking about abuse in regards to children and adults. So very serious. Keep that in mind, okay? So our first viewer, I've kept my story so close to my chest, only telling people who I trust, because my story has been used against me. There will be some sarcasm. Anyway, so here it goes. My mother is a lovely woman and enjoys the company of anyone who believes her. Since my earliest memory of my mother was difficult, I have twin little siblings. They are 4.5 years younger than me. This is important because my brother and I were locked in a bedroom with them for hours at a time, needing to do all of the feeding and changings. This didn't stop post-baby stage, and it was a horrible repercussion. We would escape the constant crying by climbing out on the roof and sitting until we would hear her start stomping through the house. We would then scurry into the room and start the tears, saying we couldn't make them stop. This led to beatings and finally a few minutes of her taking care of her babies. So this proceeded on for years. When the kids were turning 4, they had woke up and followed us out onto the roof, where my baby sister was pushed off onto the wash house, a building with a well and hand crank washer lives. It's important to add that we didn't know how they got out of bed, but I'm still ate up with guilt over this, even though it was nearly 30 years ago. Due to this, my sister could never conceive, and all she wanted to do was be a mother. Our mother was sent to jail over it, and they did a house check. They ended up blaming us kids for the accident and released her with no neglect found. They believed her story, which was, my little sister was pushed over a foundation stone, which is a big rock. This escalated the abuse. She started sending me to bed bed without dinner and endlessly beating me over anything. Her being asleep became a relief to me. Fast forward some time, I found the birth video of me, and let's just say she never wanted me. I have the mother that girls are a curse to the world. I'll provide one more. I was raped by my uncle at 16, and when it happened, I tried to kill myself. My father begged me to survive and tell him what happened. When I got better, I told him, and he took off to have a conversation with my uncle. On the other hand, my mother told me, if it did happen, I deserved it. Someone needed to put you in my place. She followed that up with, if my husband goes to jail over your pathetic, dirty, and disgusting choice, I'll end you myself. The way this affected me for nearly 20 years, I can never put into words. Sadly though, none of this is why I went no contact. I can share that story as well. It's heartbreaking what I allowed to go on leading up to what happened. So if you would like more, let me know. I've seen with narcissistic parents, I've seen from other people that have said things that narcissists are great company for anybody if you are not a part of their life, basically. And I hear the same thing with my mom all the time. I always hear people telling me like, oh my God, I love your mom. Your mom is so nice. She's so fun. She's so this. And in the back of my head, I'm just always like, no, she's not. She's a monster. That is something that's very present when you are a child of a narcissistic parents and abusive parents as well. Again, I see another one where the children are having to take care of the kids. I've seen it a million times now. So you said that your baby sister was pushed off by your mom and she was only 4 years old. Oh, that is terrible. There is this thing which I kind of went through myself. I have to be honest completely that I have seen another person go through as well. When there's that threat that there possibly could be something happening. Maybe you are going to get taken away from your family. It's almost like, the family you know is better than the one you don't. Or what is that saying? Like, the devil I know is there's a saying that goes with it. And there was a lot of times that I probably could leave, but I was too scared because this was all I knew. And she was my mother and she was supposed to protect me. So I chose to stay. And I know that that's something that happens with a lot of people. And it's very sad because what are you supposed to do as a child? You don't know any better other than your mom. What you said here, I have a mother that girls are a curse to the world. Yeah, we see a lot of that too. It's still something that's very present too. It's really sad. If my husband goes to jail over your pathetic, dirty, and disgusting choice, I'll end you myself. There is always those cases of the mother choosing the father's side. And I've never been able to understand it. How can you choose somebody over your child? I don't know. I don't know the way the mind works in that way. I don't think I'll ever be able to comprehend the mind in that way. I seen at the end that you went no contact and you're asking if we would like for you to share with us. Absolutely, yes. You guys can send in more than one. You can send in your journeys. I know my journey personally, I know it's very long. That's why I started a YouTube channel for it, because I couldn't sum it all up in one video. So yes, if you would like to, tell us more, you're perfectly welcome to. And I would love to know the story of no contact and how you're doing now. I imagine if you went no contact, you're probably doing great. So I'm very, very sorry that happened to you. And again, thank you so much for sharing. Hello, my name is Samantha as well. Oh, well, hi. But you can call me Sam. What a coincidence. That's what I'm called too. Like, we're besties. Hello, I hope you are doing well. I wanted to share my story about my mom with you. As a child, I have always felt my mom never loved me. She had always treated me differently than my other siblings. I am the second oldest out of 6 kids. There have been instances where I felt her wrath and wonder why it was only me. She would call me names and allow family friends to call me names as well. I used to be called, oh my gosh, is this Spanish? Because I'm not quite sure. Tank, vaca, gorda, due to how big I was. Fea, oh, okay. Asquerosa, and other names. My dad was no better than my mom. Due to my large size, my dad was the one who disciplined me. Spank, whipped, beat. But that is another story for another time. Due to my mom's verbal and occasional physical abuse, I had turned to eating to cope with it. There are tons of instances where she was horrible to me, but I will focus on the ones that hurt me the most. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, she once told me that I was too ugly and fat, that no parent would want me to be their child. This was also around the time where she used to wake me up at 4:30 a.m. so I could make breakfast and coffee for my dad before he left for work. That continued until my senior year of high school. When I was 9 years old, I started my period, and she laughed and said she thought fat girls couldn't get a period. I guess I was wrong. When I was a freshman in high school, I wanted to join a plus-size beauty pageant and begged my mom to allow me to enter. But instead, I had to hear a 2-hour rant about how I would lose and how ugly and unattractive I was. That's when my depression had hit me hard. I started to drink due to her words. Yes, I started drinking at a young age. Sophomore year, I went to my mom and expressed that I was suicidal and wanted to harm myself. Instead of taking me seriously, she handed me a knife, dragged me by my hair into the restroom, shoved me in, and closed the door. She told me to go down the river, not across it. She also said for better cleanup for me to sit in the shower. I eventually walked out of the restroom in tears, and an hour later, and she told me that people who talk about it are never going to do it, you coward. Junior year, she forced me to miss 2 to 3 days a week of school so she can go to work, instead of having my younger siblings go to an after-school program until I was able to pick them up after I got out of school. My mom's working did not last long anyways. She quit a couple months later, not before she sold some of my clothes to another plus-size coworker. Senior year, we had moved, and she was going to pull me out of school and just stay home and take care of my siblings all day. I told her I was not going to do that. My dad and older sister had suggested I stay with a friend to my older sister, which that was an utter disaster. They basically kicked me out after a month. Due to my pride, I came to an agreement with them, and I returned only on Fridays when my dad picked me up. But the rest of the week I would not be able to stay there. I showered at school and always carried a spare change of clothes. I usually slept in the park near the school at night until one of my best friends noticed that I was out walking at like 1 a.m. He picked me up and I stayed with him for the duration of my senior year. Before my friends found me wandering around the streets that early in the morning, I was sexually assaulted by someone at a party and had run after he left the room. I was 17 when all this happened. As an adult, when my mom was ill, I had told her about what happened, and she told me that I deserved it. It was one of the last things she told me before she died. She also told me that I was going to be the one to see her die, which unfortunately I was. Wow, that is a lot. I am so very sorry. There are so many parallels to me growing up that you show here, and I don't want to make these stories about me, but I really can't help but notice patterns here. These patterns, they aren't subtle. They are slapping you right upside the face. You talking about your mom giving you crap for your weight. Can somebody tell me, because I am not a doctor, you guys, I am just your emotional support group on YouTube. That's what this is. This is about us sharing and talking about it and not feeling ashamed or lonely about some of the ways we feel or the thoughts that we've had. So can somebody tell me, if somebody's a little bit more educated in it, why is it that these mothers say these mean things to their children if they're overweight? Why? Why is that? I could never in a million years, no matter what, my daughter will be the most beautiful person on the face of the planet to me, and that will never change. I'm drinking my coffee out of a glass today. Okay, don't freak out. If it's iced coffee, I will never drink it out of a coffee mug again. I'm so sorry. I want to touch on you mentioning that she would wake you up in the morning to make your dad breakfast and coffee. It feels like that's another thing with narcissistic mothers in particular, is that everything they do, it has to be to make their husbands happy. They have to walk on eggshells around them all the time because of all of the mean things that she did to you about your weight, telling you couldn't join a beauty pageant, which is ridiculous. You should do one now. You should do one now. We'll encourage you. You said you started drinking at a young age. I did too. Drinking is actually something that I struggle with personally. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that, but I do struggle with drinking. It's not something where I'm completely out of control, but I do drink a lot more than I probably should. I had my first drink when I was 14. Yeah, because my mom didn't want to drink alone. So I remember she bought me a bottle of white Zinfandel. What your mom said to you in regards to you wanting to harm yourself is probably one of the worst things I've ever read. I can't believe that somebody would do that to their child and not try to get them help. I mean, I can, but still, that one's pretty insane. Your mom passing away and having that be one of the last things she said to you. I don't even know what to say to that. How could somebody be so angry and filled with hate after living a life and you're on your deathbed and that's how you choose? I would love to know where you are now and how things are going for you. See how you're doing now. And I'm very, very sorry. There is really nothing else to say, right? Other than we're sorry. I get it. I understand. I've been through these same exact things. So all we can do is try to support each other and put it behind us and try to move forward and break those cycles and create beautiful lives for ourselves. And we have our last submission here. I'm thinking I'll do 3 submissions depending on the length for each video. Hi, Samantha, new follower here. My name is also Samantha. Well, oh, okay. We have a lot of Samanthas here going on. Were you guys all born in the 80s too? I really like your videos and the commentary you offer. Okay, so I don't know how insane this is, but I also feel like maybe I have gaslit myself into thinking it was normal that we do that to protect my peace of mind. Now that I am older and have my own child, I am starting to accept that this probably wasn't normal, but I don't know, you tell me. Very interesting because I feel like I've started to discover as I got older the way that I was treated wasn't normal, that my mom was like not a good person, but I didn't really truly understand it until I had my daughter, and then that's when it all hit me, and that was when I sank deep down into depression bad. So when I was really little, I was always a daddy's girl. He always made all these promises but never followed through, which I started to realize as I got older. I also started to realize he was abusive towards my mom. Not physical, but he would yell at her, demean her, call her names, and push her to the point of screaming so that he could flip it on her and call her crazy. I'm pretty sure I heard her getting raped by him at one time. Oh my. I always protected my little sisters the best I could. Oldest daughter here, if you know, you know. Thankfully, they didn't see as much as I did, but I saw all of it. On top of that though, as I got older, my dad just started to make me more uncomfortable. I could tell he wasn't a good guy. I was never comfortable being braless under my clothes unless I was in my own room. I was extremely uncomfortable with him sharing a bed with my sisters after my parents divorced and we were in a hotel with him. I don't know why, because at this point, nothing super weird had happened, other than that constantly finding porn on his phone anytime I would use it. That I remember. He would ask me if I lost my virginity a lot though, like a lot. And then he would accuse me of lying when I said I hadn't even kissed a boy yet. And I didn't until I was 18. He would try to force me to wear tampons by choosing to do things like swimming and sports when I was on my period. One time we went to my uncle's house after my parents had gotten divorced. I was 16 and my uncle was like, if you want privacy to masturbate, we'll let you have your own room. Then him and my dad laughed. The next summer at the same uncle's house, my dad got super drunk. I had gone to bed and was just chilling in the guest room in bed on my phone. Then my dad stumbles in and lays directly on top of me and starts talking nonsense. I was hoping he was so drunk that he thought I was my mom or something, but when I asked him my name, he knew who I was. But when I asked him to spell it, he spelled it wrong. So I was like, you're drunk, get off me. And he started arguing, saying how he wasn't drunk and blah blah blah. I was trying so hard to push him off me, but my dad is like 275 and I am over 100 pounds lighter than him and almost a foot shorter, so it was really hard. I finally pushed him off onto the floor and my uncle came in to see what was going on. Took my dad out of the room and asked if I was okay. I said yes because I just wanted them to leave. When they did, I jumped up and locked the door and barely slept that night because my sisters were in a different room and I was worried about them. I feel like I could write a book, you should, I'd buy it, about how weird and awful my dad is. I was strangled in his home by my baby daddy when I was 24. And when my mom yelled at him over the phone, "Where the hell were you at?" he said, "I thought it was just an argument. I didn't want to get into the middle of it." Him and my abusive baby daddy have a decent relationship, if that tells you anything. Yeah. Tells me a lot. I think if my stepdad was in a room alone with either of them, he would beat them up, which feels like how a dad is supposed to want to protect his daughter. One time he came to visit and I let him borrow my car. He was paying for it. I was in high school and he trashed the car. There was melted ice cream all over the back seat, trash everywhere. It was awful. Then when I told him I didn't appreciate it, he sent me the info for the car payment and insurance and said it was my responsibility then, all because I asked him to clean up after himself. Totally a sane person's response. When I was about to be homeless with my son, who was 1 at the time, I asked if it came down to it, if I could rent a room from him again because I had been turned down by 3 apartments already during peak COVID. His response, I mean, of course, I would never turn you away, but I just have to let you know that my new wife will probably leave me for it. Thankfully, my mom and stepdad, real dad for all intents and purposes, helped me find a place. I could go on, but I won't. I know the stuff in the second half is insane, but the sexual stuff is just so hard for me to process. But it's not normal, right? My stepdad would never act that way. My boyfriend would never act that way. It's so frustrating. Anyways, sorry for going on so long. I didn't intend for that to happen, but I'll be honest. It felt really good to get all of this off my chest, even if you don't read it in a video. I know it's a sensitive subject, so thank you. Keep on keeping on, Sam O. I will never shy away from talking about these sensitive subjects because these are real victims / survivors who we deserve to get to say what we want to say and what really happened to us. And all the people that, you know, kind of clutch their pearls when we talk about it and would rather us not because it makes them uncomfortable, how do you think we felt growing up? So no, I will never censor your guys' words. You guys will always have a voice here. You said you were gaslighting yourself into thinking it's normal. Yeah, you are, because no, it's not normal. Your dad being physical to your mom, that is not normal. We shouldn't have to deal with any of that. And all the stuff with your dad, you know, just everything. You're saying that you found stuff on his phone. He would ask you about your virginity. They were telling you that you could go do that stuff in your bedroom. You're right to feel uncomfortable because no, that is not what a dad does. It's certainly not the part where he came into your room. No. Not okay. And not protecting you from when your boyfriend was attacking you. I mean, if you would like to send in an update, let us know how you're doing now. I think everybody would appreciate that. I would love that. Again, I'm sorry for everything that's happened to you. We are here for you. We all support you and we wish nothing but good for you. And yeah, let us know how you're doing now. Hopefully this mic is working really good for you guys. So that is all that we have for viewer submissions. Like I said, I think I'll keep it to about 3 every video. That feels respectful, right? Again, if you would like to share your experiences, you can email me at samanthafisher1984@gmail.com and I will be here for you. Until next time, I hope that your magic is strong. I hope your symptoms are low, and I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are in the world. That's my little one there. I will see you guys next time.